Okay. Good morning, everybody. It is going to be an awesome day today. Lots going on. It's been a busy week. Um, yeah, had fun prepping for the show. It's going to be, the show is going to, might be a little raw. It's going to be real. I'm going to be speaking from the heart. Um, some things I'm working through and all that we're going to talk about just made me think. You know what? This is some of the stuff that I encounter in with my clients quite a bit, and so I've got a lot of reflection coming back at me to mirror some things, and it kind of brings some stuff up. So we're going to talk about not not necessarily the particulars of that, but what people can do. I really put me in the mind space of why most people never heal and how to change that. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Um, so let's get started. Good morning. I'm Doc Jeff Evenson. I'm a board certified doctor of holistic health. I am streaming from my homestead office in northern Minnesota. I work with clients in person here or virtually. Okay. And I am not a medical doctor. I do not practice medicine. I don't pretend to practice medicine. I don't cure. I don't treat. I don't diagnose. But what I do is holistic health, and that's what I consider real health care. So if you're looking to get your health back, this is a place to go for real health care. And we've got a lot of opportunity, a lot of turnaround um, for people getting their health back. One such, let me just see if I have it up here. I do. Got a testimonial. I haven't properly formatted it yet. This is from one of my clients. I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired when I first reached out to Dr. Jeff. This testimonial just came in yesterday. Since then, in a short 2 months, my energy is back. Jeff made it easy for me to do this journey, and I trust him explicitly. It's a good thing I believe in miracles, as Jeff is my miracle. And it goes on to say, I actually am thinking so much more clearly and creatively. That fog and brain drain is almost completely gone. And she closes off with, I love the weekly meetings, and I love that Jeff is so committed to me and my healing. He really cares. I like this program because it's not a diet. It's really a shift in my paradigm about my body and how to better care for it. Okay. Now, that testimonial was very timely considering the show that the content we're gonna talk about today. So it really feels good to be back here with you guys this morning. With this weekend. Last week, I had the honor. Excuse me. It's time for some coffee here. Last week, I had the honor of speaking at the Quantum Leap 2025 conference. And if you look in the background over my shoulder here, you can see the little teardrop looking thing. That's an award that I received. It was called a Practice Expansion Award because over the last year or so, I have really been expanding the number of people I'm working on and what I'm able to provide in my practice. So anyway, I'll tell you what, that event, that speaking at that conference, that event stirred something deep in me. Okay. There were over 100 healthcare professionals gathered together from chiropractors, nutritionists, holistic doctors, energy practitioners, nurses, acupuncture, you name it. There were all types of alternative and conventional health practitioners there, all coming from different paths, but with the same purpose to help people heal. And as I get into this, I'm always going to remind people, if you can, say good morning in the chat. Tell me where you're streaming from. It's always fun to see who's on. Um, and if you have any questions or comments as we go through the show, put them up in the chat and I'll do my best to answer those too. So we all came from different paths because we're looking to help people heal. All right. So you could feel the intensity in that room, the passion, the exhaustion, the hope. Everyone there was chasing the same question. What does it really mean to heal? Okay. And that question hit home for me because I've been doing my own emotional work lately. And I don't usually talk about this side of it, but I think it matters. Okay. Healing healing is not a doctor thing. It's a human thing. And over the past few weeks, I've been working through some old layers, okay? Childhood wounds, grief, heartbreak, the stuff that we all tend to bury when life gets busy. And so there have been tears, not going to lie, some deep waves of emotion, days where I had to just sit still and feel things that I thought I had already dealt with. But you know what? It's been freeing as I go through that because every time I let an emotion move through, instead of trying to suppress it, my body relaxes, my mind clears, and my energy rises up. And it reminded me you can't heal if you're only working on the physical. So you can eat clean, you can take supplements, you can detox all day long. But if your heart is still carrying weight, your body's still going to mirror that pain. So as I listened to all those practitioners at the conference sharing stories of breakthrough and burnout, I kept thinking, this is what people are missing. We've got incredible tools now: quantum nutrition, quantum testing, functional medicine or functional nutrition, nutritional science, but most people are still trying to heal in the same environment that made them sick. The same emotional, spiritual, and mental patterns. And that's where today's show comes in. We're going to unpack why most people never heal and how to change that, not just from a clinical perspective, but from the inside out. Okay, so grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and let's get into it. I'm going to grab my coffee too. Good morning to whoever's listening. Say hi in the chat. All right. I don't know. Let me bring up this. All right. So I'll check the chats every once in a while. See. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we what I want to first talk about is really what is called the comfort of the familiar. And you know, when I started sitting with some of my own emotions these past few weeks, the grief, the sadness, the old wounds from childhood, as much as I thought I had dealt with those, my body has still been holding on to this stuff. And I realized something. Even pain can feel safe when it's familiar. So I've lived a lot of years pushing through. Navy life taught me to compartmentalize, to keep moving no matter what. Hey, good morning, Amanda. Good morning, Krista. Thanks for saying hi. So the service, it taught me to keep moving no matter what. And that served me for a season, all right? But healing isn't about surviving, it's about softening. The moment I let myself actually feel those buried emotions, everything in me wanted to run. My body tensed up. My mind tried to rationalize it all. But deep down, the resistance wasn't fear of the pain. It was fear of letting go of the identity that I had built around it. And I think that's where most people get stuck. They say they want to heal, but their nervous system is addicted to the old normal, the stress, the busyness, the chaos. The truth is, your brain will always choose familiar suffering over unknown peace until you retrain it. So when someone comes into my practice and they're dealing with fatigue, brain fog, inflammation, yes, I'll address the physical side with quantum nutrition testing. I'll find what's stressing the organs, what needs support. But right underneath that, there's almost always a story, an emotional loop that the body has memorized. And I'm not afraid to dive into the pit with people and talk about that. But maybe it's the single mom who's been on alert for years and doesn't know how to relax. Maybe it's the man who's been providing for everyone else but never felt safe enough to slow down. Maybe it's the adult child who's still trying to prove they're enough. Whatever the story is, the body keeps score. It builds its chemistry around those emotions. So when you start to change, when you start sleeping better, eating cleaner, forgiving, breathing, your biology freaks out. It says, hold on. We don't know this feeling. We don't know this safety. Let's go back to what we know. That's why you can feel worse before you feel better. And let me tell you, I've been feeling really worse over the last week or two. It's worse in the holy shit category as my body is finally letting go of some of this stored emotion. I don't like it. I don't like going through it. But I have to. I have to let the stuff go. So oftentimes you're going to feel worse before you feel better. And that's why old symptoms flare up or emotions bubble over. It's not failure, it's your system rewiring. Healing asks you to step out of the familiar and into the unknown. It asks you to stop protecting the identity that got sick and start creating the one that's ready to thrive. So if you're in that place right now where it feels messy, emotional, uncertain, take heart. You're not going backwards. You're breaking patterns. Healing isn't linear, and it's never purely physical. It's the slow unlearning of everything that once kept you safe, but now keeps you stuck. And every time you breathe through the discomfort instead of running from it, you teach your body that peace is safe, that freedom is familiar, and that wellness is possible. That's the first step. Awareness. Because you can't change what you won't acknowledge. And this has been coming up in my journaling so much in the last couple of weeks. I can't change what I won't acknowledge. And holding on to stuff so tight, because there's a fear that if I let go of it, it's a familiar safety when I hold on to stuff so tight. And you can actually have the opposite effect of what you're trying to hold on to. You might actually push it away. So we're going to talk about what happens when those unhealed emotions start to sabotage your progress. And we're going to talk about how to break that pattern energetically before it shuts down your healing again. Does that sound like something you want to do? Awesome. All right. So Krista says, this is exactly what I need to hear today. I'm glad, Krista. And I need to hear it too. Not going to lie. Um, it is a position of vulnerability, and as ugly as it is, sometimes as painful as it is, it's so necessary to work through it, journal it, get it out, make peace with it, forgive, uh, all that. We're going to talk more about that, but great comment, Krista. So here's the challenge: when you start to shift out of that old familiar pain pattern, something interesting happens. And we're going to talk. I have this grouped under the topic energetic sabotage. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. But something interesting happens. The body begins to heal, but the energy field, your emotional and spiritual atmosphere, starts to react. And this is where most people unknowingly sabotage their healing. Not with what they eat, not with what they take, but with what they carry. Every thought has a frequency. Every emotion leaves a resonance, whether it's fear, guilt, shame. They're heavy frequencies. They weigh down your energy system like a wet blanket. You can do all the right physical things, the supplements, the detox, the Q&T scans. But if your inner atmosphere is still clouded with resentment, grief, or self-criticism, the body reads that as stress. Stress chemistry turns off healing. It diverts blood flow away from digestion, from detoxification, from repair, and toward defense. It's the same reason you can't digest a meal while you're in an argument. The body can't open and close at the same time. I've seen this over and over in practice and in my health and in my own life. A client will plateau. Physically, everything looks good, but something feels off. And when we slow down and test deeper, what shows up isn't a new toxin or pathogen, it's unforgiveness. It's grief still sitting in the lungs. It's anger trapped in the liver. It's a broken heart that the body's been trying to patch up chemically. Sometimes it's even unprocessed joy. The inability to let yourself feel good because that too feels unsafe. That's where I've been sitting in some of that. This is what I call energetic sabotage. When your inner frequency contradicts your outer actions. You say you want health, but the vibration you live in is fear. You say you trust God, but you're still clenching your jaw every night trying to control outcomes. Control doesn't work, folks. And I'm not preaching at you, I'm living this too. The emotional work that I've been doing lately has shown me how many tiny ways I used to resist love and rest. This goes across all of my relationships, my entire life. I'd call it uh, I'd call it productivity or discipline or leadership, but underneath it was fear of stillness. Because stillness forces you to feel. And yet, that stillness is where healing starts to flow again. So, when you release old emotion, when you forgive the person who hurt you, or forgive yourself, the body relaxes. The parasympathetic system comes online. Oxygen, nutrients, and light start moving freely again. It's not mystical, it's physiological. The spirit designed it that way. Scripture says a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit dries up the bones. That's not poetry, that's biology. Your immune system, your hormones, your cells all respond to the atmosphere you live in. So if you want to stop sabotaging your healing, start by asking, what frequency am I feeding my body every day? Is it fear? Is it doubt? Is it anger? Or gratitude, peace, and faith? Did you feel the energy shift between those two groups? Fear, doubt, anger, or gratitude, peace, and faith? Which one feels better to you? Because supplements can't override spiritual dissonance. You can't out detox a toxic mindset. The good news is once you bring awareness to it, it starts to shift. Energy follows attention. And every time you pause to pray, breathe, or speak truth over yourself, you recalibrate your field. And as I say that, it was about almost a year and a half I took on this code. You've heard me talk about it before. It was taught to me through the Wake Up Warrior movement, and it was live by a code. Okay? And the code has two rules. The first one is tell the truth. And the second one is stop fucking lying. And I've been playing that code over and over and over, and it has the net effect. I'm having this awareness now of finally admitting that perhaps my body is holding on to shit. And it's been holding on to shit from my early life on this planet that I thought I had dealt with. But I wasn't telling myself the truth about it, was I? I've had a lot of that mirrored back at me recently, and I'm forced to look at it and tell the truth about it. It sucked. But as I said earlier, moving through that is not weakness. Allowing yourself to feel those old feelings because maybe they didn't get felt right the first time. Moving through those, that's not a weakness. Especially, I'm commenting to the men here. It's not weakness if you have to suddenly sit down in the middle of your day and cry. Listen to your body and allow that energy to move. But once you bring awareness to it, it starts to shift. Energy follows attention. So every time you pause to pray, breathe, or speak truth over yourself, you recalibrate your field. Every time you choose gratitude instead of worry, you change chemistry in real time. And that's where we're headed next, into the action part of healing, because awareness is powerful, but action anchors it. So we're going to talk about how to move from information into transformation, how to make these changes stick So healing becomes your new normal. Sometimes that is the hardest part of a journey like this. All right. So we're going to go from awareness to action. We've talked about how the body clings to what's familiar and how unhealed emotions can sabotage your progress. Okay. So now let's talk about the next step, what to actually do about it. Because awareness is great, but awareness without action just becomes another form of procrastination. I see it all the time. People learn everything about health. They listen to podcasts, read books, take notes, even memorize supplement protocols. But when it comes to living it, they freeze. And here's why. When you gather information about embodiment, the nervous system gets overwhelmed. It's like your brain is trying to heal at 100 miles per hour, but your body's still sitting at a red light. So let me give you something practical here. Healing requires structure. This is why, if you've been on a program with me, I'm always constantly talking about adding structure into your program. Go to bed by 10 o'clock, get up at 6 a.m. Doesn't matter what day of week it is. There's a reason for those 8 hours. 10 to 6, structure. Timing of your eating, structure. When you work out, structure. When you sit down and do quiet time or journaling or meditation or prayer, that's structure. So let me give you something practical here. As I said, healing requires structure. You can't just wing it and hope your life reorganizes around wellness. You have to build daily anchors that create safety and direction for your body to follow. That's why in my 3-phase healing program, I don't just hand people supplements and say, good luck. I walk them through the process of integration. Phase 1 builds the foundation: nutrition, hydration, drainage, rest, faith. Phase 2 moves into detoxification and repair. And healing. Phase 3 is the rebuild, the lifestyle that sustains vitality long term. It's not flashy, it's steady. And steady is what creates transformation. So let's be honest, in our culture, we're addicted to speed. We want to see results yesterday. But the body doesn't heal on deadlines, it heals in cycles. So if you're serious about healing, here's what you've got to do. You've got 5 things. Okay? Number 1 is create consistency. Do the right things long enough for your body to trust the pattern. Healing is about safety. The body only changes when it feels safe. Number 2, simplify your inputs. You don't need 50 supplements and 10 protocols. You need precision. That's why I test. Quantum nutrition testing takes the guesswork out so you can focus on what actually matters. Number 3, track your progress. Journal. Note your energy, digestion, sleep, emotions. You'll start seeing patterns. Healing is easier to trust when you can see that it's happening. Folks, I journal literally every day, almost every day. There might be, I'm not perfect at that on an every day, But lately it's been every day. And lately, sometimes it's been multiple times during the day because I'm trying to get stuff out of my head. I call journaling stacking, trying to get stuff and trying to make sense. And the only way you can find those patterns is to get it out of your head onto paper so you can look at it and see the patterns. I've even run some of my journal entries through ChatGPT, which is an AI system, and says, read my journal entry and help me flush out the patterns. What do you see? And I've gotten some awesome, scary, awesome feedback on that. So, journal, folks. Journal, journal, journal. Write this shit down. Explore it. The fourth thing here, stay in community. Okay. Isolation breeds discouragement. And that's why I built this holistic community so you don't have to walk the path alone. Okay. Building community gives you connection. Connection is what I have been starving for in my own life. And I finally recognize that I can't control that, but I can participate in it. And it doesn't have to be something that is controlled. Trust me on that. All right, number 5 here is invite God into it. Okay? Because you can have all the science in the world, but without the spirit, you'll eventually burn out. Healing is cooperation, not control. There's that control word again. Healing is cooperation, not control. You bring your discipline, God brings the grace. You do your part in the natural, He does His in the supernatural. That's the rhythm of real transformation. So, as you move forward, ask yourself this: am I collecting information or am I building integration? Because there's a big difference. Information changes your mind, integration changes your life. The people who truly heal aren't necessarily the ones who know the most, they're the ones who practice the most. They keep showing up when it's hard. They keep taking the next step when it's messy. They trust the process when their mind wants to quit. And eventually, the unfamiliar becomes familiar. Peace becomes the new normal. That's what healing looks like. Not perfection, but progression. And when you live that way, your body starts to follow your faith instead of your fear. So I'm going to talk about how quantum nutrition testing plays a vital role in that process and how I use it to help keep your body aligned and your path clear as you continue your healing journey. If there's any questions or comments, feel free to throw them in the chat and I'll try to get to them during the show. All right. So quantum nutrition testing, I use it to help keep people on course. So now that we've talked about awareness and action, let's talk about the compass that keeps all of that aligned, quantum nutrition testing. Okay? Because once people start doing the work, cleaning up their diet, detoxing, managing stress, they eventually hit a point where they ask, am I still on the right path? That's the beauty of QNT. It's feedback, it's clarity, it's communication between your body and your higher intelligence. Think of it like tuning a radio. If you're even slightly off frequency, you still hear something, but it's static, fuzzy, distorted. Quantum nutrition testing helps dial you back to clear the signal. And here's how I explain it to new clients. Your body is talking all the time. Every cell, every organ, every tissue sends out signals. But if you're inflamed, toxic, or emotionally overloaded, that signal gets jammed. So, quantum nutrition testing helps us listen to what your body is actually saying so we can remove the interference. Sometimes the interference is physical, a heavy metal, a parasite, a nutrient deficiency. Sometimes it's emotional, grief, fear, resentment, sitting in the organ. And sometimes it's energetic, a frequency mismatch, an environment that's draining you. I can think of an environment that was draining me. That was when I was working at my last job, and I finally woke up one day and realized that I had to get out of that job because it was sucking the life out of my soul. I was out of frequency. I was mismatched to be working in that environment anymore. And every day I would finish the day completely exhausted. I was drained. And I finally had that realization that I had to let that go. Um, so when I test, I don't guess. When we test, we don't guess. Okay. We let your body reveal what it needs to heal right now, not what it needed 6 months ago. That's why I tell people healing isn't a one and done event, it's a dialogue. The body changes daily. So does your stress, your environment, and your thoughts. Quantum nutrition testing lets us keep adjusting so you never drift too far off course. I can't tell you how many times I've had someone plateau feeling like they'd hit a ceiling. Everything should be working, but progress stalls. And that happened in my case a few years ago. Well, it was probably back in 2019. Shortly after I moved up here, I was standing there in my office and I had this realization that because I was self testing, I think I was missing what was going on with my body. I knew something was off. I was exhausted. My motivation was gone. I had cravings for sugar. Um, I was, frankly, I was getting depressed. All the things just dragging me down. I felt like an anchor had been tied to my feet and was slowly pulling me down the water. And so I called up a practitioner friend of mine down in the Twin Cities and I asked him, can you take me on as a client, a normal client, and pretend I don't know anything about the muscle testing and the supplements we use and all the programs that we do? I'm clearly missing something. And he said, sure. So I went down, he tested me, and sure enough, what we found was parasites. I was loaded with them. And so I got on a protocol and worked and did the work to get the parasites out of me, poop them out, however they're going to come. For many people, they come out different ways too. Any orifice can have parasites come out of it. Um, and the longest one that I pooped out, was over 6 feet. So there was something wrong. I could feel it. The frequency in my body was off. I was at a point in my life where I could feel that kind of stuff. So, and I knew everything should be working, but my progress in my healing journey had stalled. So then I went and got tested by somebody else, someone who could test me doing what I do. And boom, he found that hidden layer. And so maybe the drainage pathways need more support. Maybe a mycotoxin has surfaced. Maybe there's a new emotional resonance that's ready to release. And that's what I've found in my journey as I continue to improve this physical body. I'm tapping into places that are ready, that have been storing emotions that are ready to be released. It's constantly shifting, and I'm grateful to get them out. Because once we clear that, the energy flows again. Symptoms start shifting and they're back on track. That's the power of precision. So it saves time, money, and frustration. It replaces confusion with confidence. And deeper than that, it teaches you to trust your own body again. Because most people have lost that connection. They look outward for every answer, to a doctor, to a test, a guru, and forget that the ultimate intelligence is within them. And so quantum nutrition testing can help you restore that relationship. It's not me healing you, it's me helping you hear what God already built inside of you. And scripture says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. That's not poetic, that's anatomical truth. Your body is divinely engineered to heal, but you have to give it the right conditions. So if you've been spinning your wheels, doing all the things and not getting results, it's time to stop guessing. It's time to test. Because when you align with truth, physical, emotional, and spiritual truth, healing stops being random and it becomes predictable. So I want to bring all of this together. We're going to talk about the spiritual side of healing a little bit and how to partner with God in this process, how to trust His timing, and how to walk in the kind of faith that keeps you anchored when the process feels slow. I call that spiritual integration. And I'm not going to sit here, I'm not talking religion, folks. I am not talking religion. I'm talking spirituality. That's your relationship with God or your higher power or something higher than you. Okay. Um, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to go to church and all that kind of stuff. Religion, that's a whole different discussion, which I will never have on a live show. Um, Spirituality, it's that's because we are, as human beings, we are spiritual beings living in a human body, and that is what I'm talking about. We talked about why most people never heal, how the body clings to what's familiar, how unprocessed emotions can sabotage progress, and how awareness has to become action. And then we looked at how quantum nutrition testing keeps you aligned through it all. But I want to end with this. Healing isn't just science, it's spirit. You can take all the right supplements, eat all the right foods, do all the right things, but if your spirit is weary, your body will struggle to keep up. The truth is, you were never designed to carry all this alone. Healing isn't something you achieve, it's something you receive. When I look back over my own life, the pain, the trauma, the lessons, I can see how God was weaving healing through it all, even when I didn't recognize it. The days that I thought I was falling apart were the days He was pulling me together. The emotions I tried to avoid were the ones that needed to be felt for the wound to close. The surrender I fought so hard against was actually the doorway to peace. And I think someone listening right now needs to hear that. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're in process. And healing doesn't happen on your schedule, it happens on God's. Sometimes the delay is the detox. Sometimes the stillness is in the medicine. And the same spirit that raised Christ from the dead, the same energy that designed this body to regenerate and repair, is the same spirit working inside of you right now. So stop fighting the process. Stop judging yourself for not being there yet. Healing is happening in ways you can't yet see. So let me leave you with this prayer. And I've got a couple other side notes after this. Father, we thank you for the way you created us, mind, body, and spirit, woven together in your image. We thank you that healing isn't separate from you, but part of how you reveal your love. For every person listening who feels weary, discouraged, or stuck, breathe new life into them today. Remind them that you are the healer, that every cell carries your signature, and that restoration is their birthright in you. Give them courage to release the old, strength to take the next step, and faith to trust your timing. We speak peace over their bodies, clarity over their minds, and freedom over their hearts. In Jesus' name, amen. So, friends, remember, healing isn't just about perfection, it's about partnership. Okay? If you're ready to take that next step and finally get clarity on what's holding you back, schedule a full quantum nutrition testing assessment with me at my website, which I am prepared to share that with you because I want to show you. There we go. What that means. And we're going to go to the home page. When you go right to my website on the home page, if you don't even want to scroll and look at the content of the website, right here on the in the middle of the page, start your journey. You can click on that and it's going to bring you to another page. I don't think you can see that. It'll bring you to another page. I'm going to hit share this tab instead. Okay. Good. It did share it. And so this is a quantum QNT full assessment. All right. Here it says $350. But if you go back to my website, right at the top of the main page, there's a code up there called Health Truth, and that'll save you $200 off that assessment. Get on the calendar. Don't wait. Okay? Don't wait if you're ready. And it'll tell you in person, by phone, or online video chat. And you pick one of those. And it gives my address right there. You'll also get that in the email, but you can see what days are available. And you can pick time on this day and select a time. You can pick time on that day, select time, all that. It's not that hard. Okay. The hard part is making that decision. It's time to get answers for what your health is doing. So if you're new to all this and want to learn more, join me. I'm going to do this again this next Thursday night for my free introduction to holistic healing webinar. Okay. I'm going to get the link up on the website. I didn't get that done before the show, but I do have it right here. And I'm going to post it in the comments. And you can register for free. It's free. Okay. And that's what's coming up. So, hopefully, you heard something here today that you needed to hear. I really appreciate you tuning in and listening. Um, I have openings for new clients this week. Don't hesitate to grab onto a time slot that works for you, in person or remote. All right. I look forward to seeing you. Love you guys. I will talk to you later.